Hello and welcome to my channel. I am ZodiacBandit, and today I am not at home. I am somewhere completely different, and thus, if this video seems lower quality and you hear a bunch of noises from above me, of course, I am in a basement with no walls. It's a massive open room, and there's no ceiling, and it's just the next floor up. So if you hear a bunch of noises, that's why. And if this video doesn't even come out until Sunday, that's also why, because this version of the video might be shit, so you might not see this one at all. But let's just get right into Critical Role, Campaign 3, Episode 20. The heist starts with the Bell's Hell sticking together. They choose to go left, and the opposing team choose to scatter. Most of the party stop at a window on the ground level and try to make their way through there. Chetney and Ashton race off even more to the left side of the building and see a Qatari and the Goblin from the other team climbing the rope to the second floor. Ashton grabs the rope and shakes one of them off. The Goblin, he lands in a bush, and then the Goblin asks Ashton for help getting up and gets kicked in the nuts for it. During that, Chetney had turned invisible and climbed the rope himself. The Goblin then climbs up after him, not knowing Chetney is there. Chetney jumps off and grabs the metal bars on the outside of the window and waits for the two to break in, and so he can climb in afterwards. Ashton no longer sees Chetney, so he goes back to join the other group. The Qatari finished cutting the window and makes a small enough space to where he and the Goblin can fit through, and Chetney can do the same, but he waits a few seconds to go in after them. Back with the rest of the party, FCG has been trying to saw the metal bars to no success. Fern then casts heat metal on it and lets Ashton smash away at the bars so they can break the glass and get everyone inside the museum. When they get inside, the walls have landscape paintings covered with Ivan Hytroga all over them. Places he's been all around his travels. This seems to be a very heavy tourist room for him. They find nothing terribly noteworthy here, except the door leading into the front foyer. The foyer has a spiral staircase with a bunch of paintings all around the walls, similar to the last room, with Ivan Hytroga on them. And there are two naked statues of him. Very garish and gaudy. The party starts talking about what they want to do next. As they hear someone trying to unlock one of the doors leading into the foyer, Laudna runs up to it, takes her immovable rod, and puts it in between the handle and wedges the door shut. She hears someone getting pissed at the other side of the door because that should have unlocked the door, and it's not working. FCG casts Locate Object for the lapis earrings and sees that it is below them. Laudna takes some time to see if there is any maps that say "You are here" or pamphlets with the layout of the place. Upstairs, Chetney is in a forest-inspired room with the two he followed, looking around, trying to find something useful. The only thing they are able to find is a switch that reveals a mirror above a bed. No comment on that one. They then leave the room, and Chetney follows after them to a new set of doors, and they are both trying to open these doors. They stop when they hear Laudna block the door with the rod. Then they go down and they go to the walkway and see the party downstairs. Chetney sets up a tripwire for them, and the minute the Goblin runs back toward one of the doors, he trips, and the Qatari realizes they've either been watched or are being followed currently. They then run down the hallway after literally trying to sniff out Chetney and fail to do so, so Chetney gives them some room before he follows them again. Downstairs, Imogen and Ashton look around trying to find where to go. They pass the statues, the naked statues of Ivan, and the eyes shoot an electrical strike towards them. They both are able to dodge most of the damage. Imogen, trying to find hollow ground, stomps around the room that she's in and finds nothing. Ashton looks behind all the paintings and also finds nothing. They cover the statues' eyes with the rugs that are in the rooms they are now currently in. They find a painting with Ivan standing next to a tower. They move it, and behind it is a door. FCG casts Locate Trap and sees that there is a magical trap on this door. He then dispels it using Dispel Magic, and the The door loses whatever trap it had on it. Imogen tries to open the door, but it's still locked. On the other side of the door Laudna had blocked, they hear the sound of music being played poorly. Ashton tries to open the door. It is difficult for him to get open. That happens, the ground in the other room starts to vibrate as if something is moving. And then that's when Ashton is able to open the door. They take the immovable rod and set a tripwire and some ball bearings on the floor to trip up the other party if they come through that door after them. Chetney upstairs follows the goblin and the Qatari to the third floor, where they open a door and set off a trap that sticks them to the ceiling, where Chetney then turns himself back to visible and flips the two of them off. The party moves the rugs away from the eyes of the two naked statues and make their way down the secret door. FCG yells at Chetney and anyone else that can hear it that the entrance to the basement is in the dining room. Orm wants to do one more thing before they close the door and sees Chetney run down the stairs. He sets off the statues, dodging most of the damage like the others did, and then falls on the ball bearings. Orm calls to Chetney, and they all go down the stairs. They come to a room with some armor stands and a door. They try to open the door, but when they do, a trap activates with a bunch of webbing. Everyone is trapped except Chetney, and they waste a metric fuck ton of time as they try to muscle their way out of it, eventually starting to speed up the process by burning the webs away. They break the door down to make up some lost time, and in the next room is a pedestal in the middle of it with a twisted iron brazier on it, and two armor sets, and two doors into opposite directions. Chetney sniffs for the furbolg and smells that they are to the right room. One of the relics, the pedestal of one of the relics in this room, says, "Broken Joracian Relic," and that is a geometric shape. Wonder what that's supposed to be. Orm looks at the armor, setting off a trap. Wisdom saves for everyone. Laudna, Fern, FCG, Ashton, and Orm all begin to fall in an endless hole. FCG fires their grappling hook hand and hits the wall with it and doesn't get any purchase. Then FCG shoots Imogen, and she takes damage from it and gets pissed off at him. FCG then pulls Imogen towards them. Imogen gets pissed, casts Calm Emotion on everyone, but it doesn't work on Fern and FCG. Chetney then starts to hit people. First Ashton, this gets them all out of this hallucination they had. Chetney starts picking the lock to the left door. Fern and Ashton check the right door and sees three of the other party's members out cold in the middle of the room. Laudna does the most fucked up thing possible and casts darkness on them, which would trip anyone the fuck out when they wake up to darkness. They then close the door behind them, or that door. Chetney opens the left door and sees the relic in the room and a set of stairs that descend downward. From the stairs that they came from, the goblin and the Qatari make their way down, and that's when break happens. Most of the party go into the left door except for Fern, who waits for the other two members of the other team to sort of walk into that room that they were just in with the armor, and sets off that trap again, making her and those two have to make wisdom saving throws, which she succeeds and they do not. Or we seemingly believe they don't. Then she goes into the door after the rest of the party and they close it, and they use the rod again to lock it. There's a mask in this room and 5 wooden fucking puppets hanging from the ceiling. These puppets then drop and it's time for combat. Fern is mega clutch in this fight. I don't break down combat all that much, but I go over the highlights of it. And for me, her powers of burning shit and making sure stuff doesn't move all that much came in super clutch when she starts using the fire spells that she has at her disposal to burn the puppets, and then she also used some of her other druid spells to make them all restraint. Yeah, that's it. The puppets also try to make everyone laugh, but Fern and Orm are able to shrug this off, and now everyone except those two are uncontrollably laughing. The puppets kill them, and then afterwards have to make everyone else stop their laughter before they make their way down the stairs. As they start to make their way down the stairs, they hear the door behind them getting smashed. They go down the stairs to another room, and this room has 2 doors, one to the right and one to the left. Chetney tries to check the room for traps, rolls a natural 1, and falls down a greased hole, and at the bottom starts taking damage. He uses a piton to give himself some footing, and turns into a werewolf to kind of give himself a little bit extra durability. The party send a rope down to get him, but it's not enough, so they send a second one down, and then they start making a human ladder, or a person ladder in D&D, to get him out. Chetney starts to lose control of himself because he is below a certain percentage of his health, and he contains himself until he gets out, and then he slashes Orem, but Imogen casts suggestion on him and makes him stop. He stops, they heal him, and they make their way into the next room because they have to keep moving, otherwise the other team might catch up with them. They see a large lion-like statue with a large gaping chasm for a mouth, and they choose to stand out of the mouth's range, as that would be a mistake to stand inside of it after all the traps they've been through. At this point, they're being a lot more cautious with the traps. They open the door and nothing happens. They open the door at the far end of this room and nothing happens. And in the next room, there is a glass case with the earrings and 2 cabinets. These cabinets start filling up with rocks as they enter the room. They try to break the glass, but nothing happens. Nothing really seems to work on it. It seems to be resistant to magic and non-magical bludgeoning damage. Shortly after trying to do this, the 2 cabinets open up and 2 clay golems come out of it. And that's where the episode ends. A fun, short, and then again, they're doing some short episodes lately. A fun time, a nice heist. There was a handful of references inside this mansion. The one that I want to kind of bring up is they saw a journal from Vespin, and I forget how to pronounce the last name, but they all had a huge reaction to this. And for the life of me, I cannot think of who this Vespin guy is. I had to look it up, and apparently he might be one of the demon or devil lords in the 9 Hells, which the only time they went there was during the Daring Tales of Taryon Darrington in Campaign 1, and I don't recall him at all. So, I don't know. So, that is the only thing, like, reference-wise that I didn't quite catch. There was a few other things that were references, like the dodecahedron that was just in one of the rooms. It was a broken dodecahedron, which I wonder how the Kryn Dynasty fucking feel about that. That's interesting. But yeah, also, this is the first time we've seen Chetney sort of struggle with his werewolf abilities. He took enough damage to where he can't control himself anymore because he's just that pissed off. And I find that incredibly interesting, and I'm super excited to see what that means for future instances of this. So, yeah, that's exciting. And this heist went so up and down because they had no plan. And it was really fucking hilarious watching these guys with virtually no plan try to run through this place, no layout. I wonder how much the other team had, because they also seemed to be doing roughly the same thing. So, who knows? I would like to eventually have the 2 parties sort of do a sit down and talk about how much information they had going in, because that would be cool. But that is all for today. I will see you guys Tuesday for my next video, whatever that will be. Peace.